所以扩展型会议我们就是老板就是不在现场会议。那台湾想要参加那个就进不去。
Okay, so we'll go into this booklet here, and what I have displayed is the first file, which is file number 1 in the booklet. I'm just showing the same thing, basically. And so we have sent you this survey, which was basically it was created by CSNF in the United States. They made a basic format, and this survey is being administered in all over the world, actually, in four regions. Yes. And so Japan CCS was asked by CSNF to conduct this survey for CSNF. Almost all the questions that were made by CSNF, we added just a few to reflect the situation in Asia Pacific. Yes. But almost all the questions were made by CSNF. So many of the questions are more maybe kind of geared towards people in the United States. The questions asked may be more familiar, like the tax system, the incentives that were mentioned, mechanisms are kind of familiar to people in the United States or in Canada. And so maybe less familiar for us people in Asia Pacific. So even we found some of the questions that some difficult to answer. Yes. Okay. Anyway, so we started the survey in July 27, and so this survey was sent by email to about 250 people. Yes. We had a list of kind of contacts, and we sent them to 250. And then we also sent out, we also asked Global CCSI Institute for their assistance, and they sent to 50 people. So about 300 surveys were sent out. And so it was an online survey, and you entered the site, and you clicked on the options or answer the questions. And then afterwards, everybody was asked to push the submit button. And then once you push the submit button, we were able to receive the answer. And so the material you have is the results of the data that we received from all the people that responded. Okay. So, but we sent out 300, but actually the responses in Asia Pacific is just 91. So the collection rate was about 31% response rate. Yes. And and you did not have to answer all the questions. So some people decided not to answer. And so, yeah, not all the responses were complete. And then you also did not, we did not require everybody, if you didn't want to write your name or your organization, we also had that option. It was not mandatory. So of the 91 people that responded, 20, okay. I made a little correction, okay. In your booklet, it probably says recipient. It actually should be respondent. The respondent did not provide this information. So we have, so if you would subtract, for 70 people, we have the, we know which country they came from. And they gave us names and contact. So later on we did some geographical analysis on whether there was any trend between one country and another. So, yes. Okay, and this is shows a summary of the actually the I said 70 people responded as to their country and their organization. So the total is 70. And so of the 70, 38 were from Japan. And then, so 11 responses were received from Taiwan, Republic of China. And I'd like to thank you for your cooperation. And then other countries, Australia, China, South Korea, and India. So the total 70. And this is the breakdown of the countries. And then also from this also shows what kind of organization the respondents came. It's all kind of statistics are given. And then if you go to page 2, this shows the process that we are going through. And so the CSLF is doing this survey, and it plans to have a ministerial meeting in December. CSLF has 2 meetings every year, one mid-year and one end-year. And at the end of the year, they will have what they call a ministerial meeting. And CSLF has a ministerial meeting every 2 years. They invite the ministers or high government officials from the member countries to this ministerial meeting. And so this year is a ministerial meeting. And at the ministerial meeting, the CSF wants to incorporate the opinions of this survey, which is administered to stakeholders of CSF. Okay. And so the way they're doing it is they are administering this survey in 4 regions: Americas, Europe, Middle East, and South Africa, and Asia Pacific. So in each region, a representative, which are called regional champions, have been designated to conduct the survey. So Japan CCS was designated by CSLF to be what they call it regional champion of Asia Pacific, to promote their activities. So so we have done this survey, and then what we want to do is like today, we want to get together with and have meetings with main countries that answered the survey. So today, we are having this bilateral meeting with the Republic of China, and then we have plans to have a meeting with the Global CCSI, and then another meeting with South Korea in October. And so, in this booklet, based on the results of the survey, we have drafted a message that we think represents the opinions expressed in the survey. Yes. And the idea is to, at the ministerial meeting, to have a collective message delivered to the ministers. So in each of the 4 regions, a stakeholder message will be formulated. So based on the results of the survey and bilateral meetings between Japan CCS and Republic of China, and then Global CCSI and Korea, we want to kind of finalize the message for Asia Pacific region. After we finalize the message for Asia Pacific, we will present it to CSLF. And then the other regions will also have surveys of their own and meetings. And So for the 4 regions, there will be a message. And then the messages for the 4 regions will be consolidated into one message, probably in November. And then a unified message or a collective message will be presented to the ministers in December at the ministerial meeting. So this is the kind of forward plan. So we are right here in this process as a step to finalize a message for ASEAN Pacific region. Okay? So, and I'll go into the results of the survey that we did. Okay? Yes. All right. And the results I will show you are for the entire region, for the 91 respondents, yes, which is comprised of Japan, Republic of China, Korea, Australia, and China. Okay. The first part of the survey consisted of questions about CSNF itself. And they asked, for example, how have you ever attended a CSNF event, and so on, and how often. And okay, the result was that 83% either never attended or very, very rarely. So the majority of the respondents said they had very few, very little contact with CSNF. Okay, and so the second question was, what kind of topic would you be interested in discussing at the CSNF event? And so this is I'm showing the bottom half of page 3. Okay. And so they want to discuss in detail some kind of topic, such as capture or storage or something like that. And then also a large part of people wanted to discuss regional issues at this kind of meeting. So that's kind of the result. Yes. So either an in-depth review of a topic or regional issues to be discussed at CSNF events. And then the third question was, how often do you think an event, CSNF event, should be held? And the most predominant answer was maybe once a year to have a CSNF event. Okay. And then this question 1.4 asks for some specific type of area of interest, ask for that could improve. And I won't go into the answers for this question because they're all listed individually in attachment 1, which is in your booklet. It would be document number 2. So. Yeah, because there are so many answers to this question. Maybe we can touch on this later. I'll ask you this question. Okay. So, okay. Now, section 2 goes into more specific questions on CCU, S, and CCS. So, and the first question is, how significant are the following issues to your organization? From significant, not significant, to very significant. And you were asked to choose how important each topic was, each issue was for you. Okay. And you go to page, page 5 shows this chart here. And the result result was that if you go to the bottom of page 5, you see the longest bar on government willingness to commit to CCS in their country, or strong government leadership or direct action to establish CCS activities and projects. So these two issues, the result was that the respondents considered these two issues to be most important. So in Asia, CCS is only just starting. So the respondents felt that government should take a strong lead in starting CCS and showing commitment. So that was the kind of answer that predominated in Asia Pacific. And yes, on page, the next page, page 6, it shows the actual weighted average of the answers. And it shows that, so the results clearly indicate that the strong government leadership or direct action to establish CCS activity projects and the government willingness to commit to CCS in the country are the most important issues that the respondents felt. Of course, there are other issues, such as long-term liability for storage, improving technology, improving public perception, growing public awareness, things like that are also scored rather high in this question. Okay. Also, the next going to question 2.2. What is the most important enabler of planning a large-scale CCS project? And in this question, by far, public support is the most scored the highest. So, in this question, you were asked to choose just one option out of all of this. And so public support gained over 27% of the political support. Sorry, political support. Yes. So yes. And so to summarize, the response as to the most important factor for the realization of large-scale CCS was political support, which was followed by public perception, confidence in storage safety, technology availability, and access to viable CO2 storage. Okay. So next question. Please rate the effectiveness of the following mechanisms for achieving policy parity in other carbon technologies. Not effective to very effective. And the reason why this question was asked because CSNF feels that CCS is not giving an equal chance with other technologies, such as renewables, for example. So the policy is not on an equal footing with other technologies. So the question was, what is the best way to, what do you think is the best way to achieve policy parity with other low carbon technologies? And the response was that, yes, the government should give grants to start CCS projects, or maybe introduce carbon valuation, yes, to put like a carbon tax, or cap and trade or carbon tax. Those were the two main highest answers. Okay. So, yes. The options are all listed on page 8 and So it's a long list, but the highest score went to grants and also carbon tax. Okay, question 2.4 was what do you think are the most severe challenges for CCS project? And the answer was that for the survey was storage safety scored the highest, followed by long-term storage liability and public opposition. Siting issues also scored very high. So to summarize, the majority of the survey respondents' perception of the severity of issues challenging CCS are storage safety, long-term liability, and public opposition, and site selection. Yes. In your booklet, on page 9, yes, I think it's long-term stability, storage liability comes before storage safety. But actually, the storage safety scored the highest. So the order should be storage safety, followed by long-term storage liability. So please make the correction in your booklet. Okay. And then the next question was, what kind of community should you engage? Which communities do you think are most important? And they list the types of communities that who you should engage in the CCS project. And the opinion, the result was that regulatory and policy developers scored the highest at 4.22, followed by politicians and power generation companies as the communities that are the most important to engage. So, regulatory policy developers, politicians, and power generation companies. And yeah, it is believed that power generation companies are really important because they are major CO2 emitters and potential implementers of CCS. Question 2.6 is, it is unfortunately that CCS, CCUS is still seen by the public media as negative. And there is a negative perception towards CCS, CCUS. And what do you think is the best way to change this? And the answer, the most numerous answer was promote CCS, CCS success stories. Scored the highest at 31%. So the results show that promoting success stories of CCS, CCUS is considered the most effective way to change the commentary of CCS, CCUS, which is followed by changing our communication style. And then the following section, section 3, is on the questions about the participants. And and the people that gave their country names and the distribution of the respondents was Japanese respondents were the most numerous at 54%, followed by Australia, China, Taiwan. Taiwan 16%. So yeah, that's this distribution that was shown in the first page. Yes. Okay, question 3.5. Yes. What is the best CCS focused CCS affiliated event in your region? And so you were asked to give your individual response. And, I will not skip over this because there are so many responses. Yeah, they are listed in document number 2. Okay. And also question 3.6. Any additional comments you have towards CCS? Also in attachment. So, okay. This item is to summarize the results of the Asia Pacific stakeholder survey. Okay. And so, to summarize the questions and responses, the majority of respondents have never or have rarely attended a CSLF event, although they expect CSLF to hold events once a year on such topics as in-depth review or of a topic or regional issues. And the results, survey results show that the organizations which the respondents belong to consider that strong government leadership and gaining more political alignment, government commitment to CCS is one of the significant issues. And for planning large-scale CCS projects, the respondents consider that political support is the most important. Okay. And as for the most effective method to achieve policy parity with other low-carbon technologies, the respondents consider that grants, followed by carbon valuation, are the most effective methods. Okay. And the next question was to list the severe challenges for CCS projects, and and respondents considered that safety of CO2 storage and long-term liability were the most severe challenges, followed by public opposition. Okay. And the question about the most important communities to engage are regulatory policy makers, followed by politicians and power generation companies. And the most effective way to gain public and media recognition, as well as a positive impression of the public image, the respondents believe that creating a success case of CCS, CCUS, and promoting it is the most effective way. So, based on this kind of summary of this survey, we drafted a kind of a message, kind of working backwards from the results of the survey. And so this situation in many countries in Asia is that we don't have kind of the condition to conduct EOR. And so CCS it's difficult to do as a business because it does not create income, and it is an additional cost. So for a majority of countries, it's CCS without CO2 EOR incurs a cost and does not produce a net profit. So the message we want to kind of formulate is what is the best way to facilitate deployment of CCS. And so, as shown in the survey result, strong government leadership and political support is considered very essential in the Asia-Pacific regions. And, however, policy support may vary by the country. So each country has a different political system or And so we believe that the following forms of policy support are maybe common to the countries. So the government should support the implementation and continuation of CCS demonstration projects, because this will allow for better education, technology development, and to publicize a successful demonstration project will result in acceptance by the general public. And also support for the development of capture technology and storage management technology. And the reason for this is the development of low-cost capture technology is an absolute must in reducing the cost of CCS. One of the major problems of CCS is that the cost is still very high. And so we have to develop the technology to reduce the cost. And so development of low-cost capture technology is an absolute must in reducing the cost of CCS, which is necessary for its dissemination, and the development of storage management technology is essential for establishing reliability and safety of storage, which are the most important challenges. So this kind of message reflects the answers which the respondents gave as for the most important challenges facing CCS projects. And incentives for the dissemination of CCS are necessary.